We're here at the Hard Assets Investment Conference in Chicago. I have with me Mr. Brent Cook, the editor and chief publisher of the Exploration Insights newsletter at explorationinsights.com. Brent, welcome to SNNLive.
Glad to be here again in Chicago this time.
You know, this is our first time speaking together, and I've been very excited because, you know, I subscribe to your newsletter, and you're very much focused on juniors. You know, that's your thing. You know, so what are you speaking about here? I'm sure it's about juniors, but, you know, what about juniors are you talking about?
What I'm going to go into, and I do this a lot, is it really comes down to, in the junior industry or mining, turning rocks into money. So it's more than just a drill hole or just some fancy story. When you look at a junior mining company, you need to, and their project, you need to evaluate it in terms of what's it actually going to take this rock and turn it into money. And that includes the cost to drill it out, break it up, mine it, run it through a mill, recover the gold, and ship it off, you know, and build the whole infrastructure for that. So it's not just a rock; it's a rock. How do you make money out of it? And that's really key.
Yeah. Because you know, I remember the last time we talked with you, you were talking about all the different. You know, you can go anywhere in the world, and there might be a discovery somewhere within that country or continent. Mm-hmm. You know, so I guess where I want to go along the lines of, you know, what aspect of the world are you focusing on personally, or have you seen potential?
Well, I spend half my time on the road. I've worked in over 60 countries. I've most recently been in Serbia. I think the Serbia and that whole Eastern Europe is very prospective. It's opening up. Dominican Republic, certainly there's some projects down there that we're involved in that are looking very prospective. Chile, I like Chile a lot. I've seen some new high sulfidation systems down there that I'm looking forward to talking about. And I guess Mexico as well. And the U.S., actually you'd be surprised, but the U.S. is becoming more and more, in my opinion, a place to get back into. And pick your places like Oregon, Idaho, Washington, as well as, you know, Nevada and Utah and Arizona. But those states, and maybe even California, I think it's worth looking at if you're in the right place.
Why is that? Does it have to do with regulations being eased, or just people are actually starting to look there? So what's starting this trend?
Yeah, not so much the regulations being eased. The regulations are in place, but that's sort of an advantage in that you know what the regulations are, you know the rule of law, and you know what you've got to do. It's not going to be easy. The permitting process takes forever, but at least when you're done with that, you're pretty certain of what you've got, and you can build a reasonable expectation of a valuation on a deposit. That's why, and I think people have kind of run away from places like Oregon unduly, and if you're in the right part of the state, in the right county that's desperate for jobs and income, it's going to be viewed positively. So I think, you know, there's opportunities there.
You said that, you know, when a company puts out a press release, it's assumed that everything that they're saying, it has to be true. It's a material event. You know, you're a public company, you have to disclose true events. But you said being able to decipher between what's true and not true. What do you mean by that?
I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, the headline number is going to be, let's call it 100 meters grading 2 grams a ton. That's the headline number. And that's pretty flash, right? That sounds good. But you need to then go into the details of the news release and say, oh, how is that distributed? Is it evenly distributed through the whole entire hole, or is it a few spikes that are being smeared over wide areas? And that, you know, that's the technical details you need to know, because that tells you what type of deposit it's going to be. You know, companies, rarely do I see them come out and say, we just drilled a bunch of holes and it was awful and we're leaving, right? How often do you see that?
Never.
Not too often. So you've got to take what's given to you with a grain of salt and look into the details, and as I said, turn it into money. Figure out how to turn it into money, and then you're better off.
Gotcha. So you were also here you did an investor masterclass. What did you discuss and teach to everybody in the audience?
Right. Well, the official title was Deciphering the Bullshit. And what we went into is, you know, we were just every day hit with news releases from these junior companies touting this, touting that. And it's really key to understand what is being said in that news release and interpreting it properly. So that's what we did, was went into a lot of detail of, you know, how to look at drill results, how to look at assays, how to look at metallurgy, how to look at geology, the different geologic systems. We went into all that, and it was pretty useful, and I got a lot of good feedback from it, because news releases are really promotional material, right?
Yep.
And so you've got to decipher through it to see what the reality is and what's not quite real. Right. And it's not that hard to do. I mean, there's 1,500 junior exploration companies listed on the venture exchange alone. I think, and your odds of success on any one of those is pretty low, like 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 10,000, depending on what you're looking for. But it's real easy to cut away half of those right off the bat, doubling your odds, and then you can do it again. So with a little bit of research, you can throw out 3/4 of the companies, and then you're down to a manageable size. Call it 250 companies. That then you can go into in more detail, and your odds can be improved with not much work.
So you talked about how to break down all those charts that are in the press releases, what exactly you're looking at. And that's pretty important to the market and the way that everything is right now. You got to know how that should be seen.
Right, interpreting, a drill hole that's the main thing that we use in geology and exploration. But you got to understand what it means. Did they go down the vein? Did they go across the vein? Is it a disseminated deposit versus a narrow high-grade deposit? How is the gold or whatever distributed through that rock? Those things are key when it comes to planning a mine. And so if you understand that early on, you can get a sense of, is this going to work or is this not going to work? Or how much is it going to cost to build the infrastructure to mine this?
Man, if I wasn't doing interviews, I wish I was there.
it was a good show.
Great.
Actually, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again in San Francisco at just before the Hard Acid show.
Well, I'll be there.
All right, you're in.
Oh yeah, I'll take notes.
Okay.
So this has been Bobby Kraft. I'm here live on SNNLive at the Hard Assets Investment Conference in Chicago. I'm with Brent Cook. He knows geology. He's a chief geologist with over 30 years experience. He writes. He's the chief editor and publisher of Exploration Insights and at explorationinsights.com. I want to thank you for coming on SNNLive.
Good to see you again.